Hello, dear students. So, we were discussing about the male gametophyte, which is the pollen grain, in the previous lecture. So, after having discussed the general structure of the male reproductive part, which contains the filament, the stalk, and then it contains the anther, and we had studied the structural details of the male reproductive portion. Then we had seen the detailed structure of the male gametophyte, which is pollen grain, and we had seen how microsporogenesis takes place, right? And how vegetative cell and generative cell they are produced. After having discussed these things in enough detail for your syllabus, now we will move on to the next topic, which is the female reproductive portion. Okay, so now in this lecture we will see the female reproductive part, which is called as gynecium. Okay, so gynecium represents the complete female reproductive portion, and all the structures which are related to the uh, reproduction in the flowering plants, they are included in this. So this actually represents the not only female gametophyte, but in addition to the female gametophyte, other portions, other structures are also included in this. So gynecium actually basically consists of the carpel or pistil. Okay, so the term carpel or pistil is used, just like for the androecium we had the stamen. Here it is called as carpel and pistil. Both terms have the similar meaning and they are interchangeably used. So in some flowers, the there may be a single carpel or single pistil. In some other flower there may be multiple number of the carpels present. So when there is a single carpel, this kind of situation is called as monocarpellary. Okay, so monocarpellary flower or monocarpellary gynecium. As we have studied this also in your previous class, where when we were studying the morphology of the plants, we had seen all these details. But just to refresh and to have a recap, we should know that what is the meaning of monocarpellary, what is the meaning of multicarpellary or polycarpellary. Okay, so when it is multicarpellary, that means it has lot of pistils. That means more than one pistils are there. And when there are more than one pistils or carpels, they may remain free to each other, or they may be fused together, they may remain united together. So if they remain free from each other, it is, this condition is called as apocarpus. Okay, so apocarpus pistil or apocarpus gynecium. If they are fused together, it is called a syncarpus situation or syncarpus arrangement. Okay, so this is about the number of the carpels and whether they are free or fused. Then if we consider the structure of the pistil, here you can see in figure 2.7, pistil usually contains these three distinct portions. The topmost upper portion where the pollen grain lands up is called as stigma. Okay, then the second portion, which is a long slender filament like structure, this structure is called as style. And the third portion, which is at the base of the pistil, and it is a sort of bulged or swollen portion at the lower position, this is called as ovary. Okay, so in this way carpel has a stigma, style and ovary, three portions in its structure. And the pistil is actually located on a lower portion, which is called as thalamus or receptacle. Okay, so this is attached to or located on the thalamus or receptacle, and receptacle or thalamus is not part of the gynecium, rather the gynecium is located on the thalamus. Okay, so here you have to remember this, that thalamus is not a part of the gynecium. Okay, gynecium has only three portions: stigma, style and ovary. Now what is ovary? Ovary is actually the region where the female gametophyte resides. So when the pollen lands on the surface of the female reproductive portion, it lands on the stigma. and then upon finding that it is a compatible pollen grain, and it has landed on a correct uh, gynecium, the pollen will start germinating. Okay, so this germination will result into pollen tube formation, and this tube will start moving down through the style, and it has to reach the ovary. Okay, so the male gametes in this way will reach to the ovary. Inside the ovary there is a uh, cavity, or there is a region, there is a structure. So this cavity is called as locule. Okay, so there is a locule, there is a cavity called as ovarian cavity or locule. So inside this uh, cavity of the ovary there will be another structure which is called as ovule, and that is located. Okay, so if I draw it for you, you can see it over here, that if this is the ovary, then here, so you can see that this is the tissue, and so inside this ovary structure there is this empty space which is called as locule, and inside this locule this structure which is called as ovule is located. Okay, so ovule is also called as megasporangium. Singular is megasporangium, plural is megasporangia. So let me also tell you over here that this is a very important topic, because the structure of the androecium, structure of the gynecium is very important. It has been asked many times in the examinations. Okay, so you must draw this figure 2.7, especially this figure number D in your notebook, and you should remember it. Okay, so we are going to now discuss and study this structure. So as now I have explained to you that this is the long slender stalk which is a style, and then the basal bulged or swollen portion is the ovary. Inside the ovary there is a empty cavity or empty space. This is called as ovarian cavity, and the technical term for this cavity is locule. Inside the ovarian locule there is a usually globular structure which is called as ovular megasporangium. Okay, so ovule is attached to the ovary through a structure which is called as placenta. We already have seen many kinds of placentation in the morphology chapter last year, where we had seen basal placentation, axial placentation, marginal placentation, all those things we had seen, right? So if you are not very clear, if you are forgetting, then just revisit your notes or revisit the textbook and see that how many kinds of the placentation we had discussed. Moreover, as we have seen that a particular flower may contain not only a single ovary, but not only a single carpel, but it may contain many carpel, and each carpel will contain one ovary, right? So similarly, if a flower is a multicarpellary, then that means that particular flower will have so many ovaries. Okay, if it is bicarpellary flower, that means it will have 2 ovaries. If it is tricarpellary flower, it will have 3 ovaries, and so on. Then again, inside the ovary, the number of ovules may vary. So the number of ovules may be a single ovule inside the single ovary, or there might be multiple ovules. Several ovules may be present in the same or in the single ovary. So if one ovule is present in the ovary, that means in the monoovular situation, the examples are wheat, paddy और मैंगो. ओके, सो व्हीट, पैडी यानी जिससे राइस हमें मिलता है वो क्रॉप, तो पैडी और मैंगो ये सब में मोनो यानी सिंगल ओव्यूल होता है, और मैनी ओव्यूल्स इन द सिंगल ओवरी का एग्जांपल है पपाया, वाटरमेलन, ऑर्किड्स। ओके, पपाया आप लोगों ने खाया होगा, तो अगर आप कट करो पपाया को, तो इन द सिंगल फ्रूट you will find so many seeds. Okay, so these seeds are actually produced from these ovules. Okay, uh, similarly if you see the garden pea, या जो आपको मटर होता है, पी जिसको बोलते हैं, उसके अंदर आप देखोगे देयर विल बी मैनी grains of the pea inside the same pod. So that means inside the single ovary there are multiple ovules which are present. So just like multicarpellary situation, there might be multiple ovules which are present in the single ovary. So then this ovule which is attached to the ovary wall through the placenta, there is a complex structure, and each region, each place has been named, and this structure is very important. So now we will study the structure of ovule or megasporangium. Okay, so I have listed these name of these structures: placenta, funicle, hilum, integuments, micropyle, chalaza, nucellus, and embryosac. Okay, so these are different kinds of the structures. Now we will see what is the meaning of it and what do they represent. So here you can see in this figure also. So if you see this figure carefully, uh, sorry, so this is the complete megasporangium or ovule, and here this portion which is attached to the ovary actually forms the placenta, and placenta actually there is a stalk like structure between the placenta and ovule. ओके, सो एक स्टॉक या एक छोटा सा डंडे की तरह स्ट्रक्चर होगा जो प्लेसेंटा से ओव्यूल को जोड़ता है. सो दैट स्टॉक लाइक स्ट्रक्चर इज कॉल्ड एज फ्यूनिकल. तो सबसे पहले बाहर ओवरी होगा, देन यू विल सी द प्लेसेंटा, आफ्टर प्लेसेंटा यू हैव फ्यूनिकल. ओके, देन फ्यूनिकल के बाद द जंक्शन between the ovule and the funicle. So junction between this stalk and this megasporangium or the ovule is, this junction is called as hilum. Okay, so here in this figure this is not very clear or correct, rather this junction. Okay, here it is referring to this portion, but this is not the hilum. This junction here, this junction between the funicle and megasporangium or ovule is called as hilum. Let me tell you that these are very important terms and you must not get confused, and you must remember what is the meaning of these terms, because these are often asked in the competitive examinations. So after the funicle you have the hilum, which is nothing but a junction, and then you have these protective layers. Okay, so if you see in third dimension, there will be a protective layer which will be covering on the globular structure of the ovule. So this protective covering is called as integuments. Okay, so this is one layer and then this is another layer. So there might be one layer or there might be several layer of these protective cover. These are called as integuments. Okay, so these integuments cover the ovule, and at one end there will be small opening where the integument will be absent. Okay, so this opening where integument is absent over the ovule, this is called as micropyle, and this end of the ovule is called as micropylar end. Okay, so these are integuments. This is outer integument, this is this one is inner integument, and then this is the micropyle or the opening, and this end of the ovule is micropylar end, and the other end or the basal end of the ovule is called as chalazal end. Okay, or chalaza. So here you can see chalazal pole or chalazal end is the other end. This is micropylar end, another end is chalazal end. Okay, then inside the this protective layer you have the main body of the ovule, and this mass of the cells which forms the main body of ovule is called as nucellus. Okay, So this nucellus is nothing but it is a mass of cells which eventually forms the main body of the ovule. So nucellus is actually covered by the integuments. In nucellus again is a very important tissue. It is very rich in the nutrients, and it provides nutrition to the developing female gametophyte. So after the nucellus, inside you will have the uh, embryo sac or the female gametophyte. Nucellus has the abundant food reserve materials, and the cells which make the body of the nucellus help to provide this reserved food material to the developing embryo sac or the developing male female gametophyte. Okay, so what will happen that inside the nucellus, one of the cells will become megaspore mother cell, and then this mother cell will divide and give rise to the embryo sac eventually. So embryo sac is nothing but the actual female gametophyte. Okay, so how the female gametophyte is formed and how the female gametes are generated, which later on fuse with the male gametophyte, which I had discussed that after the pollen has landed upon the stigma, this pollen tube will move down, and the male gamete will move along the pollen tube, and inside the ovary you will have the ovule. Inside the ovule is nothing but megasporangium. Inside the ovule there will be female gametophyte or the embryo sac. Inside the embryo sac you will have the female gametes. The female gametes and the male gametes which is coming from the pollen grain will unite and fuse together to result into the fertilization. So in this lecture now we have discussed the structural details of the gynoecium and the ovules, and this diagram of the typical ovule which we have seen is very important, and you must practice it. So I think now after having discussed the structure of the megasporangium of the pistil, we still have not discussed the structure of the embryo sac, which we will discuss later on once we have discussed the megasporogenesis. So I will stop here. In the next lecture we will discuss the very important topic, which is megasporogenesis, and followed by the structure of the female gamete. Megasporogenesis or female gametes are very important from the exam point of view, and they are almost every year they are asked in the examinations. Okay, so that very important topic we will discuss in the next lecture. But to understand that very important lecture, you have to make sure that you understand this introductory lecture of the gynoecium, where we have discussed the structural details. If you don't understand this introduction to the pistil and megasporangium, it will be difficult for you to follow the megasporogenesis and the structure of the female gametophyte. Okay, one more thing, in figure 2.7 you have the examples given. So the figure A has shown the flower of the hibiscus. So that means if you see this flower over here, you can see that this has many stigma which are united together. So this indicates that here, because each carpel or each pistil has one stigma, and here there are many stigma, and this is having the single filament or single stalk, this also indicates that this is a multicarpellary gynoecium. Okay, so that means the hibiscus has the multicarpellary gynoecium. Then in this figure B, you have the multicarpellary syncarpous pistil of the papaver. So here everything is fused, starting from the stigma, everything is fused. Here in this example of the hibiscus, stigma was not fused, but in the example of the papaver, even the stigma is fused. Okay, so many stigma are there and they are fused and they are making the true multicarpellary situation. Okay, in the figure C you again have a multicarpellary but apocarpus gynoecium of the mycelia. Okay, so here these are different carpels and they have the apocarpus, that means each carpel is not fused, rather they are free from each other. And this ovule is anatropous ovule. What is the meaning of anatropous? Anatropous means when the ovule is attached to the placenta through uh, funicle which is at the micropylar end. This kind of situation is called as anatropous ovule. So let me tell you that the ovule or megasporangium may not be attached to the placenta through micropylar end always. It might be attached to the placenta through callosal end also sometimes, but in that case it will not be called as um, anatropous ovule. So here anatropous means the funicle or the attachment of the megasporangium is at the micropylar end. Okay, so this is what you have to understand from this figure. You have to know the meaning of the anatropous because it is sometimes asked in the competitive exams. So now after having the detailed structure of the gynoecium, we will stop over here. We will discuss further in the next lecture. I hope you have understood all these terms. These are very important. Don't get scared. Just try to understand. It is very simple, very easy. First, draw this figure into your notebook and then know the meaning of each of these. If you have any confusion, feel free to get back to me and message me and I will clarify it to you. Okay, so take care and study well. Bye bye.